47 leaks before release, from Reddit to toys to insiders. No, that's not a typo. It's seriously that many. $47 billion secrecy. And we still watch the movie in pieces months early. And here's the part almost nobody says out loud. Some leaks were planted on purpose. I tracked them all. I'll prove what was real, what was fake, who slipped, and how fans guessed the ending long before opening night. Ready? Let's start where nobody expected. Toys. 8 months out, the toys started whispering. Overseas shelves, convention booths, late-night posts in collector forums, Funko boxes, Lego spreads, package art. Iron Spider wasn't a rumor. It was a SQ. Thanos with the gauntlet wasn't a theory. It was a render you could zoom. And then the piece that melted brains, Bruce Banner in the Hulkbuster. Not Tony. Bruce. Why? That say about Hulk and about Wakanda? The guesses spiraled. The forums lit up and sales spiked. Here's the twist. Some of that was deliberate. Studios use merch pipelines as weather vanes, float a design, watch the internet react, tune the marketing. The Iron Spider beat, warm-up leak. The Hulkbuster beat, an accident. The kind that gets people fired. The point isn't the who behind a leak, it's the outcome. The audience starts assembling the story for you. Collectors, be real. Did you ever buy a leak before a film dropped? A figure? A set just to feel like you'd seen 10 seconds of the future? Now zoom in on how this pipeline actually betrays the story. Factories need art locked months ahead. That art bakes in ideas the filmmakers might still change. Translation? Packaging can be canon. Or it can be a ghost. You saw both. Build-A-Figure parts hinted at teams that didn't share screen space. Codenames, Valencia, Mary Lou, and Manhattan Project, appeared on ship manifests, and then fans linked those codenames to characters. Retail calendar slips told you which sequence the studio wanted to heat up that month. Even price points became clues. Deluxe pricing screamed weapon, vehicle, or transformation. Tiny tells, big conclusions. Back then, scalpers and saintly uploaders did the same job for different reasons. To get images online first. A blurry photo from a backroom carton would drop, then a cleaner one, then a 4K scan of the back panel with the dreaded text block, "When the universe is in danger. Thor travels to the heart of a dying star." You didn't need a script. You had the back of a box. And yes, sometimes those paragraphs were dummy copy. But you learned a language. Packaging became subtitles for a movie you hadn't seen yet. Toys were the appetizer. The main course? Reddit. In November 2017, a user posted a full plot. Like most full plots, it looked like fan fiction. Generic phrasing, familiar beats, confident tone, buried under noise. But then the receipts started lining up. Thanos collects all 6 stones. The snap is the ending. Spider-Man dusts in Tony's arms, and the one that hurt, Gamora dies on Vormir. Not vague, not someone dies. A name, a place, a motive, even a line. "I'm sorry, little one." And it didn't stop there. Strange gives up the time stone on purpose to save Tony's life. Loki dies in the first 10 minutes. Yep, right up front. The movie ends on a cliffhanger with half the heroes gone. Bold. Ugly. Correct. People shrugged. Too neat. Too early. Must be fake. But when the lights went down 5 months later, the fake became fact. Reddit has its own ecology. Mods nuke frauds. Users archive everything. Posts disappear, mirror, return with red lines. Comment credibility gets built like credit scores. How old is the account? What subs do they use? How specific are the claims? This one read like someone who'd seen dailies or vendor cuts. Then a second user corroborated pieces. Then a third walked back a detail. Noise, signal, noise. You could feel a real map under all the sand. Want the part that still feels like a movie twist? Security traced the leaker, not a rando. A VFX artist. A person with NDAS thick enough to stop a truck. You can lock down scripts, but movies are made by thousands of humans. Humans talk. Humans post. Humans leak. Were you online then? Did you scroll past that Reddit post and think, no way they'd end like that? Or did you quietly think, if they have the guts, that's the move? While Reddit was dropping plot bombs, the trailer detectives were doing what trailer detectives do. Scrub, freeze, zoom, enhance. Every TV spot, every featurette, every BTS sizzle, torn into frames like evidence. The best breakdowns didn't shout, just showed patterns. Hulk in Wakanda looked wrong. Same light, same angle, same hero shot posture. Over and over. As if the footage wanted you to think Hulk fought there, while the filmmakers knew he didn't. Because he didn't. Then the bigger reveal, the trailers were lying. Actively, the famous Wakanda run, fake. As in, digitally added a character who wasn't in the scene and digitally erased the ones who were. The gauntlet's stone count? Altered. The reflections on Iron Man's helmet? Frames hinting at bodies just off screen. Ghosts of characters you weren't supposed to see yet. Fans caught the lighting seams. They mapped the shadows. They even traced reflections to make headcounts. When your audience becomes your compositor, you can't win with decoys for long. It went deeper. Color grade swaps between domestic and international trailers suggested different times of day for the same battle. Designed confusion. Dialogue ADR variations hinted at alternate context. Same shot, new line. A blink and you miss it nanotech spread on Stark's suit told you his upgrade level without saying a word. Even the aspect ratio shifts in certain social cuts gave away what was IMAX native versus letterboxed, micro clues, macro conclusions. But the wildest trailer leak wasn't what they showed. It was what they forgot to hide. A few frames, a sound, a reflection, enough to make the internet say, "That's not there by accident." Then came the leak that didn't show a single pixel and still spoiled the world. Audio. 2 months before release, the final act audio hit the internet. Not a cam rip, not a phone under a seat. Final mix, studio quality sound. Footsteps on Titan, voices in Wakanda, silence with meaning. And then the line no one forgets. I don't want to go. The air leaves the room when you hear it clean. The improvisation lands like a hammer because you hear the breath. People who listened felt guilt, like sneaking into a theater, hands in pockets, stealing endings. People who didn't still felt the ripples, as reactions and out-of-context quotes spread like spores. How does sound leak when picture doesn't? Localization, dubbing, trailer houses, music stems shuttling between vendors, a temp cloud folder with a file name that looks boring, until it isn't. You watermark video. You assume audio is harmless. It isn't. A single WAV can carry 1,000 images your brain supplies on its own. You can lock down servers, you can watermark, but any pipeline that touches a human can leak. Every pipeline touches a human. Meanwhile, the public set leaks did what public set leaks do. Tell you who's in town and what shoes they're wearing. New York street angles tipped the Sanctum ambush. A mocap suit label read E-Ma, and the internet finished the crossword, Ebony Maw. Scotland paparazzi shots spoiled a mood and a danger. Vision didn't look like a man on vacation. He looked like a man being hunted. When you have 2,900 VFX shots in a 3,000 shot movie, you don't want strangers filming the ones that aren't green. Solution? Take the party inside. Build the world out of lights, cameras, and math. Keep the wolves, us, outside. But even 4 walls can't stop everything. A user, the Ascended Ancient, dropped HD stills, and then did the unthinkable. Posted actual footage. Not a grainy phone at Hall H reel clips. Nowhere. The Collector. Thanos interrogating with casual cruelty. A Reality Stone sequence so convincing, it broke the internet twice. First when people believed it, then when they realized it was a trick staged by the very stone they were trying to spot. That leak didn't tease, it misled. And that's the curse of good VFX. Sometimes a fake looks more real than reality. Previous leaks and cutscene summaries added to the fog. An early Titan beat where Strange assigns Peter a task, a version that made sense in one cut, then vanished in the one we saw. When you're building a behemoth, you try story shapes, you test rhythms, you assemble, disassemble, and assemble again. The internet treats those ghosts like prophecies, when really they're drafts. Back to the toys, because they deserve a whole act in this story. Why do toys leak? Timelines, plastic doesn't sprint, concept art locks, factories churn, packaging prints, pallets ship, retail calendars can't wait for your third act surprise. So the pipeline becomes a weather report for fandom. Sometimes it sprinkles nonsense, Sometimes it flashes truth. The orange crystals in an early Lego set? Soul Stone in Wakanda, fans shouted. Reasonable inference, wrong conclusion. But the real spoilers were hiding in plain sight. Stormbreaker wasn't just a name drop, it was a blueprint. And the wood on the handle, not decoration, Groot. Which meant Thor didn't just find a weapon, he forged it with friends and loss. The iron spider legs weren't a rumor. They were molded plastic, spidery, and undeniable. The eye patch / no eye patch dance in promotional art telegraphed Thor's journey if you looked long enough. Boxes on shelves tell stories. If you learn the dialect, they shout. Toy aisles told you more. Nerf versions of Stormbreaker hinted at size and silhouette. Titan Hero series sculpts revealed which characters got priority. Multi-pack lineups quietly grouped allies before trailers admitted those teams existed. You could reverse engineer the act structure by reading barcodes and case assortments. Wild? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. Then there was the almost spoiler that the filmmakers outran. The Lego that suggested Hulk bursts out of the Hulkbuster in Wakanda. The plan existed. The scene was roughed. But plans flex. The Russos cut. Professor Hulk lived to see another film. The box lived forever. That's how it goes. Hulk in a box today. Deleted scene in a Blu-ray tomorrow. YouTube compilations forever. So, with toys, set pics, Reddit, trailers, audio, and a few brave or reckless insiders, could you map the story? Enough to hurt? Enough to help? Enough to guess the ending? Here's the truth. Most complete plot leaks are noise, but once in a very long while, someone posts a map that actually leads to the treasure. 6 months before release, a single Reddit post sketched the movie from cold, open to dust. Nomad Cap. The Secret Avengers with Natasha and Sam. A mid-film rescue of Vision and Wanda that reroutes them to Wakanda. Shuri as the only possible surgeon for the stone in his head. Strange and Tony losing New York to a wizard with needles. Ebony Maw whispering pain into a hero's skull. Titan as a battlefield and a meeting place for a space family and Earth's finest. Spider-Man catching a ride because that's who he is, a kid who runs toward the fire. Thor, Rocket, Groot at Nidavellir. The dwarf Eitri, Peter Dinklage casting a weapon more like a promise. Banner back to Earth in a pod. Banner stuck as Banner. And then the knife in the heart. Thanos throws Gamora for a soul he cannot have any other way. It wasn't perfect. The post guessed that Loki would join Thanos, he didn't. It guessed a Hawkeye cameo. He sat this one. It predicted a late movie Hulk. An echo of a plan that once existed, now a deleted timeline. But it also nailed a dozen microbeats too specific to be lucky. The only one-way look on Strange's face, Star-Lord breaking the near victory with a punch born from grief, Mantis lulling a god to sleep for seconds that felt like hope, the Red Skull as Stonekeeper on a wind-burned cliff no one had imagined returning to. Check marks, tick, tick, tick. Most people didn't see it. The thread lived in a forest of threads. Oversaturation is its own security system. If you hide a diamond in a gravel pit, casual hikers won't find it. Miners will. Fans with patience did. The rest of us found out in the dark. So, after all that, did Marvel lose the leak war? Or did they manage the battlefield? Fake scripts, no phone screenings, reflections erased, characters painted in, characters painted out, internet yanked from VFX machines, merch marked confidential, and still moving like contraband. Even fake intel salted into the ground to grow the reaction they wanted. The answer isn't a scoreboard. The answer is this. We built the movie in our heads before it opened because they let us see just enough. And because we wanted to. We should talk about the ethics. Just for a second. Fans aren't thieves for noticing what's in front of them. Studios aren't villains for protecting surprises people worked years to craft. The tension is the point. It's the dance. It's the thrill of almost knowing. That's why a single line of audio can make you sit up at 2 a.m. with tears you didn't consent to. That's why a box on a shelf can make your Saturday feel like a premiere. That's why a 3-second reflection on a metal helmet can spawn a week of detective threads and a million-view breakdown by Monday morning. And the coda writes itself. Infinity War wasn't the end of leak season. It was the rehearsal. Because when Endgame approached, the dam broke. 5 minutes, 10 days before release. From the first shots to the last. Not rumors, not toys, footage. Whole scenes ripped from context and thrown into group chats like grenades. Theater staff begged people to look away. Comment sections turned into minefields. If you want that wild story, the where, the how, the collateral damage, I've got a full breakdown waiting for you. But right now, step back and look at what Infinity War taught us about Blockbuster's secrecy. You can lock the doors. You can silence the hard drives. You can watermark every frame and chase every Redditor. But stories have weight, and weight footprints. The bigger the movie, the more trails it leaves behind. Tinier than crumbs, louder than sirens. A cast list in Atlanta, a mocap suit with a label, a toy handle made of wood, a sentence posted in November that feels like a nightmare in April, a trailer frame you can't unsee once you see it. Put the trails together and you get a map, not perfect, not close enough to feel the end before it arrives. So yeah, 47 leaks. Nonsense, some planted, some devastatingly accurate. The game wasn't will anything get out? The game was how much, and can we bend it into hype instead of harm? Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. And sometimes fans out-investigated the investigators, frame by frame, box by box, thread by thread, because that's what fandom does when it loves something that much. One last question. How much did you know before the first dust hit the floor? The toys? The Reddit post? The audio? The reflection in a helmet? Or did you dodge every spoiler and still feel your stomach drop when a kid said he didn't want to go? Either way, we were all playing the same game. And in a weird way, everybody won. The studio sold out showings for a movie we'd basically reverse engineered. The audience got the dark ending it didn't think a billion-dollar brand would dare. And the leaks? They became part of the myth. Another story we tell when we talk about the one story that broke our hearts and made us come back for more. If you want the Endgame leak saga, 5 minutes, 10 days footage that should never have seen daylight, go cue that up next. And if you like fast, receipt-heavy spoiler archaeology, you know what to do.